Bill Belichick is really taking a lot of shit right now. It seems like every article that I read about Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady heading south to Tampa, there are these negative connotations in the articles about Bill Belichick and his style of coaching. Most of them read, Gronk left the Patriots because football wasn't fun anymore. Both Gronk and Brady were tired of Bill Belichick's authoritarian methods. They were tired of the stress. They wanted football to be fun again. Is anyone surprised to find out that Bill Belichick's not a fun guy to be around? I mean, have you ever seen one of his press conferences? The guy is as dry as a snail in the Arizona desert. His personality is about as exciting as watching Major League Baseball. When he was an assistant in New York with the Giants back late 80s, the Giants asked him to read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Because Bill Belichick, even back then, 30 years ago, was obviously not a people person. But you can't argue with success. Bill Belichick's system, his method of coaching, it obviously works. With 6 Super Bowls, all of the playoff success, the greatest dynasty in the history of professional sports, it's hard to argue against Bill Belichick and his ways. Now we're beginning to see the never-ending question, the never-ending debate, the never-ending argument that can never be proven one way or the other. Who needed who more, Tom Brady or Bill Belichick? Which guy was the reason the Patriots had 20 years of success? We have sports media personalities debating this topic seemingly every day. Former NFL players are chiming in. Former Patriot Asante Samuel has made his feelings known on Twitter. Everyone has an opinion on this. So today, what we're going to do, we're going to try and answer the question, who really was responsible or most responsible for all of the success in New England? Was it Tom Brady or was it Bill Belichick? And to start out, we're going to look at a bit of history on both guys. Let's go back to the 1990s and Bill Belichick's time in Cleveland as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. A lot of people look at Belichick's time in Cleveland as an abject failure. He was 36-44 throughout his 5 years, one playoff appearance, ironically enough, with a win over the Patriots in the playoffs. But I don't see Bill Belichick's time in Cleveland as a failure because the mistakes that he made with the Browns ended up teaching him how to build a Super Bowl team in New England. And believe me, Belichick made a shitload of mistakes in Cleveland. He gave Andre Rison $17 million, which at the time was one of the worst contracts in the NFL. The Browns were already hard up for cash. This contract forced Browns owner Art Modell to go have to borrow money from 5 different banks just to keep the team afloat. Bill Belichick alienated veteran players with his style of coaching. He was not well liked in that locker room. Hell, the Browns owner, Art Modell, wasn't fond of Bill Belichick. Modell was interviewed by ESPN back in 2008. And over 10 years after he fired Bill Belichick in Cleveland, he still didn't have anything positive to say about him. He said Belichick was mean-spirited and unlikable. I guess Belichick being forced to read Dale Carnegie's book on how to win friends didn't have the desired effect on him. There were 2 mistakes that he made in Cleveland that he never recovered from, both involving quarterbacks. The first one was when he waived Bernie Kosar after a loss to the Broncos in Week 10 of the 1993 season. In case you didn't know, Bernie Kosar is a legend in Cleveland. Now, I know it's hard to understand that, considering Kosar is a sub-500 quarterback for his career and was only 51-1 during his time with the Browns. But it doesn't take much to achieve legendary status with the Cleveland Browns. Just have 1 or 2 winning seasons and you are forever immortalized in Cleveland. This wasn't a popular decision with fans in Cleveland. Like I said, Bernie Kosar was a legend in their eyes. But also, he was one of very few quarterbacks in the league that actually wanted to play in Cleveland. It wasn't like elite or great quarterbacks were pushing through the door to come play for the fucking Browns, much like it is today. But Bill Belichick's next decision put the final nail in his coffin. Vinny Testaverde signed with Cleveland as a free agent and led them to the playoffs in the 1994 season for the first time in 5 years. Going into 1995, Testaverde was Belichick's starter at quarterback. After they started the season 3-1, Testaverde and the Browns lost 3 straight games. After the bye week, Bill Belichick decided to bench Vinny Testaverde and start rookie Eric Zaire. Now you're probably asking yourself, who in the fuck is Eric Zaire? Well, he's a fucking bum that was so bad in his 4 starts that Belichick had to go back to Vinny Testaverde to end the season. It was a terrible decision by Bill Belichick, benching a proven starter that had led you to the playoffs for an unproven rookie, and it blew up in his face. He was fired by Art Modell shortly after. Bill Belichick's 5 years in Cleveland and the mistakes that he made transformed him into the 6-time Super Bowl champion that we know of him today. Much like Tom Brady's 4 years at Michigan prepped him to become the greatest quarterback the league has ever seen. Tom Brady's tenure at Michigan was far from what I would call easy. He was not a Peyton Manning. He wasn't a guy like Ryan Leaf, who was naturally gifted athletically. All 4 years in Ann Arbor, Tom Brady had to fight for his spot. When he arrived as a freshman, there were 6 quarterbacks ahead of him on the depth chart. Now, most players in that situation would transfer the fuck out. But Tom Brady was determined to prove himself. His first 2 seasons, obviously, he was a backup. Coincidentally, his first pass was during a blowout win against UCLA in garbage time, and the first pass of his college career was a pick 6. The 97 season, Michigan coach Lloyd Carr was actually going to go with Tom Brady as his starter, but at the last minute, he decided to go with Brian Griese instead, and it was the right decision. Michigan won a share of the national championship that year. But it was another kick in the gut for Tom Brady, being passed over once again, just like what happened to him in high school. Brady's 3rd season at Michigan was his first real opportunity to prove what he could do, and he was pretty good. Completed 62% of his passes, threw for nearly 2,500 yards, 14 TDs, 10 interceptions, led Michigan to win 10 of their final 11 games. But his toughest season in college would be his senior year. This would be the year that would define Tom Brady, create the resiliency that he's become known for. After the success of his junior year, going into the 1999 season, everyone thought Tom Brady was going to be the starting quarterback. It was pretty much guaranteed. In comes Drew Henson, the local Michigan kid that was highly recruited by Lloyd Carr. He was viewed as a can't-miss talent. So Lloyd Carr decided that instead of naming a starter, making a decision, he was going to go and play both Tom Brady and Drew Henson. And for 5 games, it worked. Michigan started the season 5-0. But just like Bill Parcells used to say, if you've got 2 starting quarterbacks, you have no starting quarterback. Eventually, Lloyd Carr was forced to make a decision. He was forced to choose between Brady or Henson. 6th game of the year was against big-time rival Michigan State. Drew Henson started that game, dug Michigan into a 17-point deficit. Tom Brady comes in, nearly pulls off the comeback, threw for 241 yards in the final 18 minutes of the game. After that game, Brady was the starter the remainder of the season. Even led Michigan on a couple of comeback wins. Was nicknamed the Comeback Kid. ended up beating Alabama in the Orange Bowl in his final college football game. Now, the reason I go through all that history with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick is to show you that when they arrived in New England, they were hungry. Both of them arrived with something to prove. Brady coming in as a 6th-round draft pick, almost went undrafted. Belichick coming in as a former disgraced head coach who had 4 out of 5 losing seasons in Cleveland. It was the perfect storm. Tom Brady's mentality was perfect for Bill Belichick's authoritarian system. Training camp his rookie year, Brady was the only guy on that roster that believed he would eventually be the starting quarterback. He even told Patriots owner Robert Kraft that you're going to be happy one day that you drafted me. So let's get to the question of who is more responsible? Who deserves more of the credit? Tom Brady or Bill Belichick? Now, Asante Samuel went on Twitter earlier this week and said that Tom Brady deserves all of the credit for the Patriots Dynasty. In my opinion, that couldn't be further from the truth, because without Bill Belichick, there would be no Tom Brady. Belichick's first 2 quarterback changes in his head coaching career were disastrous. We talked about it with Bernie Kosar and Vinny Testaverde. However, had he not had the guts to keep going with Tom Brady after Drew Bledsoe returned from injury in the 2001 season, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about whether or not Belichick or Brady deserve the credit, because there would be no Patriots dynasty to speak of. And believe me, it took guts to keep Drew Bledsoe on the bench, because Robert Kraft had just paid him $100 million the summer before the 2001 season. Unlike in Cleveland, there was very little blowback when Belichick chose Brady over Bledsoe. It's crazy how winning in a Super Bowl ring can change people's perception. Bill Belichick built the foundation and the culture that allowed Tom Brady to thrive and become the legendary quarterback he is today. It wasn't Tom Brady that made the decision to move on from Lawyer Malloy when he was past his prime and go with Rodney Harrison. It was Bill Belichick. It wasn't Tom Brady who took a chance on Corey Dillon when no other team in the league was willing to. It was Bill Belichick. Both of those guys were monumental pieces during the 2003 and 2004 Super Bowl runs. Belichick built a culture where everyone was equal. It didn't matter if you were Tom Brady, Teddy Bruschi, or a player on the practice squad. Everyone was treated equally. Everyone was subject to the wrath of Bill Belichick. He also created a culture where no one was overpaid, especially Tom Brady. So if Tom Brady was willing to take less money, no one else could hold out or demand more money, because they knew if the Patriots weren't giving it to Tom Brady, they damn sure weren't giving more money to anyone else. Also, the people that are wanting to give all the credit to Tom Brady for the Patriots' success, go back to 2008. Tom Brady goes down week 1 of that season. I believe it was against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he tore his ACL in that game. Took a low hit to his knees, which that was the hit and that was the injury that caused the NFL to create more rules to further protect the quarterback. So Tom Brady's lost for the season. Matt Castle steps in as the starter. Everyone thinks the Patriots season is over. They go 11-5 with Matt Castle. Belichick's brilliance earned Matt Castle a big contract the following year with the Chiefs to become their starting quarterback. Now, what happened with Matt Castle and the rest of his career after he left New England? He sucked. He was a bum. He had one good season in Kansas City. That's it. After leaving New England, he was 26-40 as a starter. The best year of his NFL career was under Bill Belichick. Just think about that for a second. Bill Belichick turned Matt fucking Castle into a winner. It wasn't Tom Brady who drafted Rob Gronkowski. It was Bill Belichick. It wasn't Tom Brady who drafted Julian Edelman. It was Bill Belichick. A lot of people give Brady the credit for keeping the Patriots dominant over the last 3, 4, 5 years. I can agree with a little bit of that. It seemed at times that he was succeeding almost in spite of Bill Belichick because, like I've talked about before, I think Belichick has been ready to move on from Tom Brady for quite some time. That's why he drafted Jimmy Garoppolo back in 2014 in the second round. He had found his next guy, his successor to Tom Brady. Now, of course, we all know what happened. Belichick was forced by Robert Kraft to trade Garoppolo a couple of years later because Tom Brady wasn't close to being ready to retire. At the end of the day, both Belichick and Brady played integral roles in the 20 years of success in New England, but I've got to give more credit to Belichick for the Patriots' success because, like I said earlier, without Bill Belichick, there is no Tom Brady. It sucks in a way that Brady won't end his career in New England, but that's life in the NFL, and especially playing for Bill Belichick because once he realizes you aren't the player that you used to be, he's done with you. You were thrown out like yesterday's trash. That's why he's been ready to get rid of Tom Brady for the past couple of years. He did it with Mike Vrabel, Teddy Bruschi, Richard Seymour, Rodney Harrison, and now he has done it to Tom Brady. I'm sure there's a lot of people that will disagree with me. The players win the games, not the coaches, is what they'll say. And in the NBA or Major League Baseball, I 100% agree. But in the NFL, there are two important positions: head coach, quarterback, and they are equally important. What was Drew Brees until he had Sean Payton? What was Peyton Manning before Tony Dungy? I'll tell you what he was. He was winless in the playoffs. He was 32-32 as a starter before Tony Dungy came to Indianapolis. What was Tom Brady before Bill Belichick? A guy who was on his way to being undrafted. Bill Belichick would have had success without Tom Brady. And I think Tom Brady would have had success without Bill Belichick. I don't think either one of them would have won 6 Super Bowls without the other. Like I said, without Bill Belichick, there is no Tom Brady. Every other team in the league passed on him. And for that reason, and for the culture, the foundation that he built in New England that allowed Tom Brady to thrive, I've got to give Bill Belichick the upper hand, but not by much. All right, that's all for today. I'm going to get to the NFL draft tomorrow. Going to talk about Green Bay drafting possibly Aaron Rodgers' successor. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. I really appreciate those of you who have liked and subscribed. It goes a long way in helping the channel. It is tough to get eyes as a small YouTuber, so need all the support that we can get. Leave me a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think. Is Tom Brady or Bill Belichick more responsible for the Patriots' success over the past 20 years? You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. I will see you guys tomorrow.